Right, yes, it is a Saturday night. It is a newly uploaded review, and yes, there's at least two postscripts.
Go on, watch till the end of the review.
Right, with the introductions out of the way, and possibly a warning about a footnote as well, let me introduce myself. My name is Paul. I do daily teasers, the brain teaser quizzes. I do talk about movies and try and review them on my blog, Knickknacks Old Peculiar, and on my YouTube channel at Mr. Cuddy2977. Please feel free to like and share and subscribe because frankly, the more attention I get from YouTube, the better. And I also talk about TV shows I've been watching as well. I've been watching the third series of Apple TV Plus's For All Mankind, and I've also been watching Star Trek Picard's third and final series. Tonight is Saturday the 11th of March, last night was Friday the 10th, and last night I saw episode 4 of Star Trek Picard. The episode in question is called No Win Scenario, and I thought I should tell you what I thought. Episode 4, No Win Scenario, opens with the usual summary of previous episodes, and then shifts to 5 years ago to show us Admiral Picard eating alone, or trying to eat alone, at a posh, smart San Francisco restaurant. He's just about to start on an equally posh haddock dinner when he's approached by a bunch of eager cadets keen to hear inspiring stories of daring do that only he can tell them. The scene shifts back to the now, where we find the Admiral in his quarters on the seemingly doomed USS Titan. A USS Titan whose bridge crew are telling Captain Riker that the ship is slowly sinking and rapidly losing power from every single system, and as little that can be shunted to life support, and even less to the engines. Captain Riker has some tough decisions to make, and in an admission and an apology, he makes to Admiral Picard. He has to admit it's their last few hours, and that he, the Admiral Picard, should spend those hours getting to know his son and writing his will. Now, what did I make of No Win Scenario? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it indifferent? Did it match the promise of the first 3 episodes? I have to admit, I've watched those past 3 episodes, The Next Generation, Disengage, and 17 Seconds, over the past few weeks, and they have been incredibly watchable, with both Disengage and 17 Seconds being particular standouts, at least for me. No Win Scenario, on the other hand, is just as good. It absolutely keeps and maintains that quality. It really is quite superb. Possibly improves it as well. I have a little bit of a confession to make. 17 Seconds and No Win Scenario. Even though I know they're separate stories in an ongoing arc of 10 episodes, 17 Seconds and this episode, No Win Scenario, feel like 2 halves of a 2-part story. Granted, they're halves written by 2 separate sets of writers. 17 Seconds by Jane Maggs and Cindy Apple, No Win Scenario by Terry Matalas and Sean Tetra. What possibly helps me thinking that is quite simply the fact they seem to be 2 halves of a separate story arc within this series. And they're 2 halves of a story arc directed by one director, Jonathan Frakes, Captain Riker, which I suspect is what helps with the coherency. I'm assuming Frakes managed to plan both episodes, or plan what he was doing with both episodes at near enough the same time, and was able to direct the pair that come in collectively at about 113 or so minutes, as if it were one continuous feature film. So it possibly makes his job as both director of 2 episodes and actor in 2 episodes as one continuous whole shown over 2 weeks. So it does seem to work for him. On top of that, he does put in quite a small but very touching performance. There's a scene of him video calling his wife, Deanna, Marina Sirtis, and it's quite quite touching to watch. It really is. The direction, though, as well as his performance, are a credit to the man. The performances from the rest of the cast are just as good. The ensemble is particularly strong, as we've possibly guessed, given the strength of the franchise as a whole. The ensemble performance is very good. Patrick Stewart, again, stands out, but has had some work to do. He's not only got to be the inspirational elder that the cadets in the flashback scenes expect him to be, he's not only got to be the wise leader providing, again, leadership and inspiration to the Titan crew. He's not only got to be, there's that name again, the demonic Locutus of Borg that Captain Shaw, Todd Stashwick, is evidently still traumatized by, but he's also got to be the father that he never knew he was to a son who he finds was a stranger asking awkward questions many years ago. All that, and deliver the funniest line of the episode. Despite the fact that you are a dipshit from Chicago, you had to be there. The other performance, Pat Stewart has done a great performance in this episode, star of the show again. The other performance I feel I should highlight was Todd Stashwick in that self-same scene as Captain Shaw in the Titan's holographic emergency shelter. It's a bar. Possibly the less said the better about emergency shelters there, but at any rate, Stashwick's performance as Shaw in that episode. In that performance, we learned that the last time Shaw met Picard was at the Battle of Wolf 359, when a Borg enslaved Picard had led an attempt at conquering Earth. The scene shows you just how damaged he still is, even now, and it explains quite why Shaw has that frosty reaction to Picard from the minute he walks onto the Titan. It gives Shaw, it explains Shaw's frosty reaction to Picard and gives Stashwick a chance to wear his acting chops as well as the PTSD afflicted captain. It's one hell of a performance in one hell of an episode. With all that said, I've got only two relatively trivial complaints. And they are both trivial, and I suspect the first one isn't necessarily a complaint. It's just the way my mind works. You're possibly aware I write a set of brain teaser quizzes. They crop up once a day on both YouTube and on my blog, Knickknacks Old Peculiar. Now, I've just written one about Quentin Tarantino that's due to go live on the 27th of March, only a few days from now. The research for that reminded me that Amanda Plummer, Vadik, in this episode, the villain of the piece, played the enthusiastically psychotic honey bunny in Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. And I couldn't watch her opening scenes in a no-win scenario without imagining her waving a gun about and sort of yelling, "If none of you moves, I'm going to execute the lot of you." Just sort of interrupted my viewing a little bit. Like I say, that's relatively trivial and possibly not even a complaint, just the way my mind works. The other possible complaint, is quite simply the fact that we've not seen more of Raffi's story this week. I still feel Michelle Hurd is one of the best individual actors, stroke actresses, whatever the term of the week is this year. I still think she's the best individual cast member in Star Trek Picard, and frankly, I missed seeing her around. I am happy, however, to wait for the next episode to see what happens there. At any rate, this is where I'm going to leave this video review, having seen a superb episode of Star Trek Picard, and one that leaves me wanting to see next week's, and hopefully leaves you wanting to see my next review as well. You'll have to see. You're welcome to come back. At any rate, I'm posting this video on Saturday the 11th of March. Tomorrow is quite obviously, it's Sunday the 12th of March. I'm going to, tomorrow night, be watching the next episode of Apple TV Plus's For All Mankind, New Eden. I will have my written and video reviews up of that on Monday the 13th of March. Please subscribe and ding the notification bell if you'd like to see those reviews. I will be watching the next episode of Star Trek Picard, Imposter, on St. Patrick's Day on the 17th of March, and I will have my written reviews and video reviews of that up on the 18th. They're all going to be in the playlist that this video is part of. I would love it if you join me. I'll see you next week when we can both see what happens. Now, before I go,
Watch out for the postscripts.
right, just as a thought for those of us watching this who aren't necessarily Star Trek fans, this is possibly the first series of Star Trek they've seen. The title of the episode, No-Win Scenario, it refers to a test called the Kobayashi-Maru test that Starfleet officer candidates and officer cadets have to take whilst they're still at Starfleet Academy. It was introduced in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. It's a test designed to see how the cadets deal with a no-win scenario and their potential deaths. Right, again, just as a minor thought for non-fans, the bar that Picard and Jack and some other members of the Titan crew spend their time in is a holographic one, but the twirly-whirly bottles you might notice in the background, they're bottles of a drink called Kanar, and it's a Cardassian drink that would have featured a lot in Deep Space Nine.